Bhante, my friends, it is now time for our daily Dhamma discussion or question and answer session. We'll start with the written question as usual, and we will invite Bhante to read the written questions to start the session, please.
කිසිදු ගුරු උපදේශයක් නැතිව භාවනා ආරම්භ කළමා මෙවැනි වැඩසටහනක සහභාගී වූ පළවෙනි අවස්ථාව මෙයයි. සමහර දිනක පර්යන්තයේ සිට භාවනා කිරීමේදී සිත එක අරමුණක සිත තබා ගැනීම ඉතාමත් අසීරුයි. සමහර දිනක ඉතා පහසුවෙන් ඒ කළ හැකි. ඒ සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක්ද? දෙවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ සක්මන් භාවනාව ඉතා අඩුවෙන් කර ඇතිමා වැඩසටහනේ දෙවන දිනේදී එසවූ බය සහ සිත් ඇතිවී නැතිවී යන ආකාරය මෙහි පංචස්කන්ධයේ අනිත්‍ය දුක්ඛ අනාත්ම බව මෙනෙහි කෙලෙමි. එය නිවැරදිද?
ඇත්තටම ගුරුවරයෙක් කිව්වහම ඉතින් අර බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ මහම්බෙරණ හොඳයි කියලා තමයි බෞද්ධ හිතන්නේ ඉන්නේ. නමුත් එහෙම එකක් ඇත්තේ නෑ. තමන් හොඳ ශිෂ්‍යෙක් නම් අවුවෙන් වැස්සෙන් හොලකින් පවා ගුරු උපදේශ ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අමාරුයි ශිෂ්‍යෙක් වෙන්නේ. කොහොම යටහත් පහත් කෙනෙක් වුණා නම් මේ හතර මහා භූතය පවා අපිට උගන්වනවා. ඒ වගේම ඒ අර අහිංසකකම නැත්නම් නිහතමානීකම තියෙනවනම් ගුරුවරුන්වත් අපි හොයන්නේ. ඒ නිසා Bhante ජීගේ කැරක්ටර් එක බැලුවත් මගේ එක බැලුවත් අපිට එච්චර හොඳ දක්ෂ ගුරුවරු හම්බුනේ නැහැ. නමුත් යම් ප්‍රමාණයක මූලික උපදේශ ටික ලැබුණා. මත් කරගෙන යනකොට ධර්මයත් ගුරුවරුත් හොයාගෙන එනවා. ඒක තමයි ධර්මයේ තියෙන ආශ්චර්යවත් ලක්ෂණය. දෙක මේ සක්මන් භාවනාවේ වටිනාකම ඉගෙන ගත්තා නම් ඒක බොහොම දුරදි යන ගමනක්. මොකද උඟ දිනෙක භාවනාව කියනකොට සක්මන පිළිගන්න කැමති නැහැ. සක්මන කියන්නේ කාලේ නාස්ති කිරීමක් කියලා තමයි හිතෙන්නේ. හම්බෙච්ච වෙලාව. එහෙනම් ඇත්තටම ඒක තමයි මොබිලයිසේෂන්. අර ක්‍රීඩා තරගයකට ඉස්සල්ලා මේ වෝම් අප් කරන්න එපා යන්නේ. නැත්තම් අපිට ජව්ව කරගන්න බෑනේ. ඉතින් මේ වෝමින් අප් එක තමයි මේ සක්මන් භාවනාදී වෙන්නේ. So if I am to translate, it says that I had no proper teacher as such, so I came to the retreat. And the first few days it was ups and downs are there. Is it normal? But there are no ups and downs in mindfulness. But in bhavana, yes. If you consider this as a meditation, ups and downs are there. But for the mindfulness, there is no ups and downs. Everything is, you can be a reason for you to be mindful. And the second part, it says, walking meditation, I was not so keen and interested in, but second day, third day onward, when I'm walking, I can see how the thoughts are rising and passing away, how the other feelings rising and passing away. Accordingly, I had some kind of inferential knowledge about the impermanence, and is it correct? So, no one to say it is good to say yes or no. Only thing is, if there is no hindrance for you to continue the same, please continue. Then, by practice itself, you will get the confirmation. We are going to the next.
Dear Bhante, please kindly explain the importance and how to observe the breath through 11 types of facets. At that time, you mentioned Kaya-anupassana, Vedana-anupassana and Chitta-anupassana to look at the breath. Are these three anupassana included in the three types of facets? Thank you.
Yeah, the breath, not only the breath, the Buddha mentioned even the feelings, even the even the volitional activities, and everywhere, the 11th dimension. Now in the quantum physics also, they are talking about the 11th dimension. I try to see whether there is any relationship. There is no such a close relationship, but out of these 11 facets, 3 are related to time, past, future and the present. So I have to then interpret what is the meaning of past breath, what is the meaning of the future breath, what is the meaning of the present breath. So if you are going prepared to see the just beginning of the in-breath, it has not arisen yet, but you have the prepared mind, you have the preparedness. So there you can see how the in-breath is prepared. And while it is rubbing and rushing, there you can see under your very nose, this is in-breath or this is out-breath. And then if you let it pass, and if you are noting each and every changes from the gross breath to the subtlest area, there you can see breath has already gone and still you are observing. Now you are at the gap and you are at the nothingness, but you know how it came, just like a water wave, just like a tidal wave coming and then going. So therefore you can see the way the breath cycles or walking meditation in the past, present and the future forms. Usually mindfulness is here and now. But when you are practicing, when you are going, you can see the beginning, the middle and the end. And other things are couplets, gross and subtle, in and out, near and far, desirable and undesirable. So, choiceless awareness means whatever the facet, it has a meaning. Don't think that unpleasant part of the breath is no good, the pleasant breath is good. Or gross breath is good, subtle is bad. There is no such valuation. Everything has the same value, same understanding you have to have. So therefore, not only the breath, even the feeling, all the other, you have to, once you get touched with the breath, you have to wait till the whole full panoramic performance of the breath, and each and everything is important one to understand the totality. This is also asking the same question in English. So therefore, this is the answer. We are moving to the next.
During walking meditation, if I focus only on one foot, I can observe the arising and passing of the feeling in that foot. If I focus on both feet, I only see arising right, arising left, arising right, arising left. So, would it be valuable to continue practice with attention on one foot, or should I focus on both?
Both together, only left leg, only right leg, all come within the noble quest. You can practice and see which one is helpful for your mindfulness to increase. So you have to understand, if you are following it, you can see the complete cycle. For example, if you consider as a complete, the movement of the whole leg, when it is touching the ground only, it is accountable. If it is not touching other parts, we can't understand. So touching part is less than 1/100th of the periphery area. So therefore you can understand when you are moving left leg and right leg. When you are in the right leg, left leg is still moving. Your attention is not focused. But if you imagine that you are pedaling a bicycle, and then when you are pushing the right leg, still the left leg is in touch with the pedal. So you can see the whole movement. Or other example is if you are walking inside the swimming pool, for example. If this is the swimming pool and we have about 3 feet water, then you can see if you are walking, everywhere the water is touching. So likewise, at the beginning you just get with the left leg, right leg, the heel, the arch, the toes, or the ball of the toes. But later you can understand, you are aware of the most gross area, most rubbing, most abrasive part. But the whole cycle, also, if you sharp enough, you can experience. For that, Venerable Sariputta is telling, you not only you are aware of it, this is the direct touch. You are keeping the left leg. And the inferential knowledge, it says, when the left leg is gaining the weight, right leg is releasing. And when the heel is in touch, other areas are not getting the weight. So likewise, these things are happening under the light of mindfulness, but they are not direct touch. They are not theoretical also. They are the inferential, or they are called the deductive knowledge. So that will happen when keep on practicing. After a certain amount of mindfulness, this deductive knowledge or inferential knowledge will come. As to see, when you are walking, you are only feel the touch. And sometimes you feel the ankle, sometimes you feel the knee, sometimes you feel the hip, sometimes you feel the pressure along the spinal cord up to the atlas, this thing, at the top. And upon that only head is resting. So all these things you can see. So don't worry at the beginning. When you are practicing and keeping on, these things will come as you mature, as you proceed.
Bhante, you said consciousness is blind. Could you elaborate on that point? Is it that it is neutral? And that the point to intervene is at stopping the mental fabrications with the power of sati?
No, because consciousness is utterly depending on the volitional activity. If you take the 12 stages of dependent origination, avijja paccaya sankhara, that means avijja conditioning to the volitional activities, or will. And will is the one proximate factor conditioning the consciousness. So therefore, consciousness not take decision, not only consider, not by considering everything, it consider only what the volitional aspect presented, just like a government. Only the advisors, what they are telling, according to the decision happen. If the witnesses are complete, judge is passing the decision according to the witness. He is not take care about the comprehensive idea, because you have to tell in the court, and that's all you are taking. So therefore it is like a kind of a blindfold situation, but this is the way it happens. And ultimately, everyone thinks the consciousness is taking decision after considering all the aspects, but it is not the case. Specifically, if you are a boss in an organization, or if you study the hierarchical order, the boss is always conditioned. Otherwise, he can't run. The Pope is completely depending on the other bishops, what they are doing. He is not supposed to go to the village. The judges are not to associate normal people. They are in a very secluded area, depending on the witnesses they are seeing, they take the decision. And that you have to accept. This is how the consciousness also working. So therefore you have to understand what is the before aspect and the after. Before the sankhara, after that, vijnana paccaya nama rupa. It creates its own form and shape, name, according to the data given. That in your computer, whatever the answer coming is depending on the data inside the computer. Otherwise, computer can't give anything. So that's why people are depending on this artificial intelligence, and everything is depending on the data you have given. Likewise, the consciousness also. But it appears like a chief and the head of the mafia organization. Can't help. So you have to And you can't set the investigation also, because everything under the consciousness. But when the only thing is to let the consciousness play in the full playground under the light of mindfulness. Then you become an outsider. You become an observer. It is like sending a satellite, and from the satellite you again look back on the earth. There you can see from the different perspective. Mindfulness is like a satellite. Mindfulness is like a CCTV camera. Mindfulness is like a mirror. So in front of you are performing. And now you can see the reflection. So that is how the mindfulness gives a different perspective, and ultimately you become a third person. So you have to have a long observations before arrive at a decision, because mindfulness, the consciousness is such a tricky thing. Don't rush to a decision. If it is so, you have to answerable, you are vulnerable. Therefore, best thing is to increase the observation and reduce the inference, reduce the decision.
How does one practice metta meditation? Does it relate to the factors of enlightenment? Can you practice metta while walking?
The metta means you sit comfortably, walk comfortably. Metta has traditional 4 aspects. Aham avero homi, abhyapajyo homi, anigo homi, sukhiyattanam parihara. May my mind free of hatred, free of physical ailments, mental ailments. May myself use my body comfortably. We never sit symmetrical and comfortable in our day-to-day activities. In sitting meditation, best thing is mentioned is please sit comfortably and close your eyes and see whether you are balancing the left side of your body and the right side. And then if it is not so, please make it comfortable. That is the best and verifiable way of metta. When you are walking, don't carry any weight. Just walk. We have no such a chance in our day-to-day activities. We are rushing to the train. We are rushing to this and that. And therefore, you are burning yourself rather than just walking. So therefore, this walking for the sake of walking, sitting for the sake of sitting, we have to thank Buddha. Otherwise, we never sit. When we are sitting, we are in a kind of a future projection. So you don't know how to be friendly with your body. So in how long it will take you to just to sit and be comfortable. So if it is so difficult, look at the body. The cat. And so cheap. And look at the fish tank. You see how they are behaving. So therefore, don't think it is impossible or difficult. Before you become 6 years old, you are so lovely. Whatever the posture, are very happy. And that's the best contentment for your mother. Not that you are giving something, it's so natural. But when you become 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, irreversible damage. You don't know how to sit. You don't know how to walk. Because you are in a role model in front of others. You are showing this and that. You go to the beauty pageant and see how the girls are moving and showing you. Exactly the same at the airport also. People coming and showing the we call Vikatandudanga in Sinhala, the different way, I don't know how to put it in English. Vikatand. Fancy dress. So everyone. And still if you see a young boy or girl, they are completely open. You can see how natural they are. So that's the best method. Metta means be here and now comfortably. Without you being comfortable here and now, whatever you can, whatever you can do to others, no. So therefore, best thing is sit comfortably, walk comfortably, but that itself is unlearning process, de-learning process. Just ask the body knowledge to have it. It's an endowment. You need no any foreign advisors to see how to sit comfortably. This is your body. So many people talking about the metta, they are completely in the wrong idea. They don't know how to love your body. And talking about the universal metta. And how to love with the neighbors without loving yourself, without you do not know how to dispose yourself, no metta. Yatha yathava kayo panihito hoti, tata tatanam pajanati. Whatever the way you display, have your posture, be aware and make it comfortable. I say it's an original right, human right. At present day, when you go to the carnivals and the supermarkets and the airports and kind of, you can see what a rush people are in. So therefore, start with here and now, start with yourself. Metta.
ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ භාවනානුයෝගී භික්ෂුවක ගිහි වශයෙන් ඊතා හොඳින් සීලය ආරක්ෂා කරන අතර සීලය විසින් අපව ආරක්ෂා කරන බව අත්විඳ ඇත. මෙයින් මා අදහස් කරන්නේ ධර්මයේ ඇති සාන්දෘෂ්ටික බවයි. එසේ තිබියදී පිරිත් සජ්ජායනායෙන් ලැබෙන විශේෂ ආරක්ෂාවක් තිබේ. අනුකම්පා කර පැහැදිලි කරන්න.
It is as a monastic, if you are protecting, if you are restrained by precepts, then you feel then and there lack of fear. So therefore, I feel it like that. And while, if that is the case, what is the use of chanting and all the other blessings? You can make use of them also, but first and foremost, the restraint, that moral restraint is not doing something, not to kill, not to steal, not to have sexual misconduct, not to have verbal expression, not to have intoxication. So there is no expenditure, there is no impediment for that. So whatever you do, there is a vulnerability for breaking precepts. So therefore in sitting, you can try and see, but most difficult part is how long will it take you to understand, verify the relationship between the moral restraint and your own happiness, contentment in and there. That was the big issue when Richard Davidson was starting in 1980s, how long you must practice so that you can verify yourself. Now they have developed some equipment and kind of thing to prove that particular person, what are the relationship. Singhalin අහලා තියෙන්නේ සීල් රකින්නවා නම් ඒ සීල ආරක්ෂාව තමයි හතරාකාර බය නැති බව. අද ලෝකේ ඔක්කොමලා ඉන්නේ ටෙන්ෂන් ෆ්‍රස්ට්‍රේෂන් බය ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා ඒක තිනෙකට තේරුම් ගන්න කොච්චර කල් යනවද කියන එක ඒ පුද්ගලයාගේ කර්ම ශක්තිය අනුව ඥානය අනුව තමයි තීන්දුව වෙන්නේ. අර හොඳම ඥානවන්ත අයට පට ගන්නකොට තේරෙනවා මේක කිසිම ආරක්ෂාවක් නැහැ. ආරක්ෂාව තියෙන්නේ යමක් නොකර සිටීම. සීලේ කියන්නේම යමක් නොකර සිටීම. අපිට උගන්වන්නේ මොන හරි කරා. කරන හැම දෙයකම තියෙනවා සීලේ කැඩීමේ අනතුරක්. ඒ නිසා භික්ෂුවක්ම වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. කොයි කෙනාටත් ඒක බලපානවා. එහෙම තියෙද්දි අපි මේ පිරිත් ආරස්සාව එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔය වෙන දේවල් ආරස්සාව. ඉතින් ඒක පිළිබඳව ඒක බෞද්ධ මහාමුතු කෙනෙක් කියනවා ආරස්සා ක්‍රම තුනක් තියෙනවා. අහන පිරිත්, කියන පිරිත් සහ කරන පිරිත් කියන්නේ. අහන පිරිත් කියලා කියන්නේ කවුරුහරි පිරිත් කියනකොට අහගෙන ඉඳලා සතුටු වෙනවා. කියන පිළිත් කියන්නේ තමන්ම පිළිත් කොට කටපාඩම් කරලා ආග්‍ර ප්‍රාණ මහ ප්‍රාණ කියලා පිළිත් සජ්ජායන. කරන පිළිත් කියන්නේ සතිය. හොඳ මේක තමයි සතිය. ඉතින් ඒ ඔක්කොම තිබිච්චාවයි නමුත් තමන්ට තමන් විශ්වාස නැතිකම නැත්නම් කරන දේ වෙරිෆයි කරගන්න බැරිකම තමයි අද තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා අවසාන විනිශ්චය වෙන්නේ විචිකිච්ඡාව. තමන් මේක කරන දේ විශ්වාසද නැත්නම් තමන්ගේ අත්දැකීම තමන්ට විශ්වාසද කියන එක. ඒකට කොච්චර කාල ගන්නවා කියන එක විවෘතව තියලා අපි යන් ඊගා ප්‍රශ්නෙට.
Bhante, what are the hindrances to the establishment of mindfulness? Are they the same ones as for the establishment of concentration? Or are there different ones? What are the hindrances to the establishment of mindfulness? Are they the same ones as for the establishment of concentration, or are there different ones?
Of course, for the mindfulness, no hindrances. Don't worry. Mindfulness is free. Hindrances are for other things. You're born with mindfulness. The Buddha says, Satadipataya sabbedama. Whatever you do, you know it. Just awaken into that. Just be vigilant on that. The catalyzing part is on it. For my life, I never see any hindrance for mindfulness. Mindfulness is free of charge. No equipments. No authority from someone. I can't, no one can stop me by being mindful.
Why is it so hard?
Huh?
Why is it so hard?
Hard because you have not understood mindfulness. You understand mindfulness as concentration. Misunderstanding. So therefore, mindfulness is be here and now. So you are here and now, isn't it? And appreciate it. Be happy. That is the contentment. And that is very difficult to communicate because people think to gain something, we have to do something. No. Mindfulness is being aware of it, to awakening into that. So it is so common, you won't believe. So mindfulness is a birthright. When we go to Satipasala, go to schools and kind of thing, we somehow we have to communicate with. Sometimes young children says, Bhante, it seems that you have given nothing. Mindfulness was with us already. Now you are enlightening into that. So therefore, I don't agree with hindrances for mindfulness. I think mindfulness is a frictionless path and the comfort area. Always at comfort zone. So you must know how to get connected with mindfulness, how to catalyze mindfulness, how to awaken to mindfulness, how to appreciate mindfulness. And then you can, whatever the society, you can just pick the other person who is mindful. Because he is happy. He is contented. Otherwise you are searching for luxurious thing and consumerization and this and that. But the mindfulness, no hindrances.
How do we balance practice and study? Should we spend equal time and on each?
No, I don't know what do you mean by study.
Maybe suttas.
Study?
Suttas.
Study Buddhist scriptures. Yeah, that if you are be mindful here, you'll be an expert in all the Tripitakas. Don't worry. After a while, you will get connected to the cosmic library. You get all the knowledges. It is not the hindrance. It is not the necessity. Because during the time of the Buddha, he went to a very poor young boy and asked one question or two. He said like that. He never went through this diploma courses, so PhD in Buddhism. No. No. I don't say all nonsense. Because we have to appreciate it. But it is not a basic requirement. Just to be mindful, no basic qualification. In Sri Lanka, just before coming, we were thinking about giving a postgraduate, undergraduate, diploma course for mindfulness for Earth. How to be mindful about the global warming, how to be mindful about the pollution. Then two professors told, without any kind of basic understanding or basic qualification, I am developing a system to give a certificate. No, there's no basic, you must know this and you must know that. There's no such a basic qualification for mindfulness. So when you study, when you read the scriptures, you can see all the people encountered with Buddha and got the results are not scholars. And in Burma, there are some traditions, they don't much appreciate the reading and studies. But what I can say is when you keep on practicing, these things are naturally get absorbed. The thing is that how much you believe it, how much you appreciate your under-the-nose experience is the most important than the scriptures. Swami Vivekananda used to say, tons of theory compared with the 1 ounce of experience, that 1 ounce is better than the tons of theories.
Dear Bhante, since it is our last night, can we play one of your mindful games?
Can you
play one of your mindful games?
Mindful games. So that Bhante told that after 5 o'clock he will not come out. So therefore I am safe. So that after the question and answers, we are going to have 10 minutes video, short video. After that, we'll play 1 or 2 mindful games.
That's a good question. It's hard to tell which stories are symbolic and which are literal in the suttas. Do monks and scholars debate this?
Yeah, definitely. So that is how that there are 6 synods that big conferences so far. Because there are a lot of things cut off from the Tripitaka and adding into Tripitaka. The basic corpus callosum is the same. But there are some cosmetics. There are some cut-off. Things are happening. Because some parts it appear like mystical. Some parts appear like scientific. So scientific thinking people forget about the mystical part. Some people, those who are with the mystical ideas, they don't think the scientific part is not necessary. So therefore, it carries all. So therefore, when you are talking with, when you are dealing with, when you are discussing with, to understand the other person, he look at the Tripitaka according to his value system. We can argue, but never we can come to a conclusion. So therefore, keep it as it is and continue to practice. Be unto yourself, be here and now. There you can understand to have a buffet diet. You have to have everything. Sometimes some foods are not good for diabetes. Some are not good for the blood pressure. But keeping there, it is not a mistake. So therefore, there are some tastes according to the particular person. So there were some lot of such dialogues and the discussions and books written. And it's a dynamic thing. It's a living thing.
Dear Bhante, thank you for your enthusiasm for walking meditation. Yesterday, for the first time, I had the sensation of countless points of contact between my feet and the floor. This was followed by intense heat and then huge energy and prickly sensation all over my back body. When I sat down for sitting meditation, I got concentrated immediately and then was on fire for about 45 minutes.
Fire.
Yes, on fire. It made me wonder if jhana states are possible in all postures. I always thought jhana state only happened when sitting. Thank you.
Do the latter part, it says that dhanic experience is often related with your sitting posture. And then, if at all walking happens, how any, let alone you forget about the jhanic absorption, any jhanic factors happens. So, in the meditation, when the breath is becoming subtle and subtle and subtle, that means a kind of indication the mind is go deep, deep, deep into the core. From the superficial area, if it's a glow, from the superficial area deep. So therefore at a time you don't feel the difference between deep breath and out breath, but you see a flux. So that is a kind of a good absorbed or good mindfulness. So how to relate that into the walking meditation? Walking meditation become effortless. You start walking, at the beginning you feel, I am going to this end to the that end, 25 steps or 35 steps, and you know the left leg and right leg. You know at the end, mind become a little disturbed, distracted while you are turning. But after a while season, you see the whole process of walking. There is no doer. And that means the mind is ready, mind is going to evolve from the walking. It is happening. And there you can see the sounds are there. No problem. Here and there are other pains there, not only the touch of the heel and the arch and the toes, bones, but other pains also there, no harm. And sometimes you are daydreaming and fantasize, no harm. Things are there, still the walking happens. So that is how you can understand when the thing is going to the autopiloting mode, there onward you can see it from as if someone else. So that is a kind of a indication the mind is getting absorbed, going into the walking paths. So therefore at the beginning you have how many steps and how many turns and end experience, middle experience like. But ultimately when it becomes effortless, you are just in the process of walking. So therefore it is not definitely a classical categories of jhana, but you feel like floating, just like a pendulum going and coming, and it is completely harmonized. And sometimes when you are eating also same thing happens. When you are brushing your teeth, when you are doing your day-to-day activities, you can absorb into that activity. There are no cells, but the thing is happening, like robotic understanding. So possibilities are there. But normally if you read the literature, the jhanic experience is normally considered in the sitting posture. There's one story whereby an ascetic monk, and he's living in the forest, because he wished to be solitude, but he's having a severe gastritis. So therefore he can't sit. So what he did was, he had the walking path and there's a rope is there, so you can hold it. And the side, there's a rail. So he can't maintain because body is so painful, agonizing. So hold in one hand and rail in the other hand. So it is at the peak, he fallen down and dead. But still he is in the meditative mood. According to the story, he get a rebirth in the celestial hell. And their celestial beings are so happy. Such a meritorious monk came to here, and there was a huge palace coming for him, and 500 damsels, and they are coming to accept him. And he was so ashamed. He was thinking, what happened? Because there may be some team coming to the monastery, and he started making the robes and kind of thing. And he tried to tug in, just like a turtle. And they came to know that he don't know he is in heaven now. I mean, he is in the celestial. They showed a big life-size mirror. Then he came to know now he is in the completely different attire. He is not the gastritic monk, so no more. And what the hell, ultimately, he is surrounded by so much of people. He was so desperate. So therefore, don't go to heaven realm, that realm, because that if you are a solitude lover, you will be in the hell of a fire. So immediately to us, then I have magical powers. So still the Buddha is living. I will make a decision to go to meet the Buddha now itself. Then he make an announcement. I am not going to accept the celestial luxuries. I am going to. They all came with him, and then he utterly complained to Buddha. This is a mad world, Bhante. This whole thing is, everything is paradise-like. Please, please, rescue me. And then the Buddha says, as far as you have the mindfulness, whatever the thing happened, whether you are a monk with the gastritis, or whether you are a celestial being, even that change, it doesn't matter. You have to be just mindful. You are in a car, you are in a saloon, frictionless, no sounds. No one can disturb you. So therefore, in walking also, this kind of thing can happen, but it is not recognized as jhanic experience. I think it is more practical and pragmatic than jhanic experience. You don't know whether you're dead or not. Now, Venerable Dhammajiva suffering from this, gastritic pain. So you know how difficult it is. But still, that particular monk, that also under the light of mindfulness, and he did. And still he is mindful. The mindfulness is the only character go beyond the dead point. So therefore, walking meditation is a good area. In my personal experience is, when I started meditation in 26, 27 years old, I had no any place to sit and wait. Then people will throw stones to me because I am such a rascal. I never allow anyone to sit. So if at all I am to sit, I have to go inside the room and lock the door and try. Instead what I did was doing walking up and down. Still they think that I lost my love affair or something like that. That is why I am walking up and down in the same place. So therefore still I go to corners to earn something. But there are no meditation centers. My family, my house is small place. We have 10 members, family members, and father, mother and uncle. So we don't have private rooms, private bed, and there are no chances. So walking meditation gives such an area, because daily when I am walking to the university, walking distance, maybe 1.5 miles. So there I try to get rid of all the friends, because they are coming and chatting, just walking and try to see how many steps I can walk myself. And sometimes I feel completely I am the person, only person on the street. Because other people coming and going, immaterial. So therefore, may not be jhanic, but insight-wise, the walking is more pragmatic, more good for the people with multitasking. Even such a relaxation, and still you can fulfill your, spiritual aspects also.
Is a career in the entertainment industry wrong livelihood because it increases desire and attachment?
Yeah, and it's utterly entertainment. One day Socrates was going across the Athens, and there was a slave with him. And in the streets, and everything is there in the shops. And people are shouting, and if you are purchasing, we can bargain, and so much of row. And after going to the other end, and he says, It's a wonderful thing. The city called Athens is full of material. But I have no need. So therefore their endurance is in vain. If I have a need only, they can come and deal with me. I have no deal. I have no need. What a wonderful thing. No one can say. Because we have so much of crazy, so much of desire. So the multinational companies, you know how to put a hook. So you are the bad luck. You are the fish eating into it. So don't blame about the multinational companies. That is because of your desire, you will get hooked up. And you are also doing the same to the others. Not the multimillion companies, you are also doing the same. So therefore, be aware. Be aware. Be in the society means a prison. It's agony. But we can't help. We have to find the livelihood. We have to be there. But try to be with yourself and be contented with the in-breath and out-breath. And there you find it is such a contentment, such a spiritual contentment. But no company will teach you, no university will teach you, no subject will teach you, because then there's no commodity. They are making commodities. They are making supply and demand. And the in-breath and out-breath, you are born with. Try to be with. Don't think you have to do 24 hours, 7 days and 30 days per month. No. 1 second. 1 breath, that's a good start.
Dear Bhante, thank you for teaching us. My question is, when will we learn if Anapanasati may not be suitable for us, or when we may need to change to other object?
So that is why I am asking, when in the discussion, let me know, what did you feel? How did you apply your mind to the breath? Then we can discuss. But if you are hiding, if you are so stingy to share your information, I am sorry. You are so stingy. This is the last day. No one is sharing. And few are there, exceptions are there. Everyone is talking cock and bull stories. Never about when I am doing in-breath, this is the way I apply my mind, and that was the experience. Then the in-breath, out-breath, this is the way I apply my mind, that I feel. Then others can help you and share it. But you are very, very, just like Sherlock Holmes. You are talking about the 1 kilo of flesh. You are very stingy, not sharing. I try my best to share, but you dump out.
Dancing and singing is not holy in the Theravada tradition. What if the word to song are wholesome?
What?
But if the words of a song
are
wholesome.
Yeah, the Buddha says dancing is madness, songs are crying, nacham bhikkave ummattaka, geetam bhikkave runnamita, something like that. So therefore, if you see rock and roll dance and the rock music and the jazz music and all the kind of thing, this is without that you can't live. So therefore, songs also there. But even in the Tripitaka, 9 aspects, Suttam, Geyam, Veyyakarnam, Gata iti Uttakam. The Gata means stanza. And when you are reading, when you are chanting, there's a melody kind of thing. And so it is accepted. And it is that one person in Sri Lanka, he got the spirit chanting and he analyzed the notes. Not anything is provoking sensuous pleasure. They are just like a sea waves. The sound is like sea waves. That's the way the Buddha says you must chant. There is no the orchestra-like kind of thing. So therefore, there are also healing effect is there, but not arousing the sensuous feeling or sexual feeling So much so, no harm.
So that's arresting the question. So would singing in real life be okay? What about professional dancing? One has to be mindful of exact movements in each moment. Chanting sounds like beautiful songs.
Yeah, one Muslim girl, she has escaped to Norway and she is doing a public talk. And she says, when my younger brother was listening to music, I went there and crushed his cassette and cassette player because it is not done according to the regulation and rules of the Muslim beliefs. But later now I understand, when you come to the Western countries, and it is very common thing. And what I did for my younger brother, I regret. But when I'm talking like this, I always check whether doors are closed because someone will kill me. So therefore, that lay people, they are different, belong to different cultures and different upbringing. And each and every culture, there are folk songs. That is very common. But everything is not to provoke sensuality or sexuality, but there are some other things also. So spirit is some animals also, they are completely amazed. When your chanting happens, they also calm down. That kind of thing happens. So therefore, Nachagita Vadita is one of the precepts. But that is not to provoke sensuality or sexuality. Otherwise, we are always dancing, cosmic dance. Each and every atom, each and every subatomic particle, you start the reading Fridge of Capra, Tao Physics. He explained how the cosmic dance is happening. He is looking at the sea, at the beach. Everything is dancing. They have their own patterns. So therefore, look at it. The melody is there. Sound of silence is there. Everything is dancing. But they are not provoking anything. That's the nature. So you can't stop it. Because I am meditating, I am mindful, let the sea stop. Or let the sound stop. No. Let them have. But don't use or don't misuse it. So much so, we can be mindful.
Almost every night at sleep, I fly in search of heaven's wisdom or lust. One time I decided to stop searching and found a great place. How can I remember to stop trying? Most times, I can't remember my powers.
Yeah, trying to stop trying. That's the way. So therefore, when you are preparing or when you are manufacturing a car, the braking system and the clutch system is very important. If there is no, you can't use it. So therefore, we know how to run, but we do not know how to brake, how to clutch. So mindfulness is a clutch. You are separating the engine and the tires, engine and the wheels, and it is running or it is stopping. So therefore, the mindfulness is understanding that we are in a rat race, and stopping, you can't stop all of a sudden. You slowly stop the intensive volitional activities. First with the transgressional form. And then secondly, the Nissarana level. And still there is a very deep layer, directed disposition. So first and foremost is, when and where possible, stop it. But still involuntary activities, you can't stop it. Whatever the concentration happens, blood circulation happens. Whatever the concentration happens, digestion happens. Whatever the concentration happens, your hairs are growing, teeth growing. So these things are happening. So therefore, don't worry about them because they are involuntary. But your voluntary activities, when you are stopping, that is we call physical and verbal stopping, we call moral restraint. And then you are just looking at the mental aspects. That is the concentration restraint. And then at last, you see the activity of liking and disliking. So likewise, you can't stop it all of a sudden. Then if it is so, just like a car, it is skid. So you have to slow down and all of a sudden when you are braking or put a brake, you have to give a clutch and again little, otherwise car will completely lose the control. So therefore this art of calming down and stopping is lost. You can't expect anyone to do it, but you can try. Start with the voluntary part, the forced breathing and the transgressional part, because you are violating the society. And that is how the Buddha put the three restraints, Sila, Sikka, Samadhi Sikka, Panya Sikka. So it must be not a one shot, not overnight, not by one thought. It's a series, like cascading, one after the other.
If I have a thought, I won't label it. However, I will still identify it. For example, if I have thoughts planning the future, I will acknowledge it as planning without words. But I will still identify it as planning. Is this what awareness without labeling looks like?
This is a kind of not the beginners, but halfway you have gone. So ultimately one day you will understand your physical activities, verbal activities and mental activities appear like three categories, but everything is a flux. Everything starts from the same source. So when you come up to that level with the physical, verbal or mental, there's no differences. So that means you have the choiceless awareness. Everything is kind of an energy. Sometimes it appears like a thought, sometimes it appears like a word, sometimes it appears like a physical activity, sometimes it appears like a visual object, sometimes it appears like a verbal, sometimes it appears like a smell, taste, touch and everything. So ultimately when you come back to the source, it's a simple energy manifesting in many, many ways. So most subtle area is the thoughts. But physical activities and verbal activities related to the moral restraint. But when you are about to go into the mental part, or these thoughts, is two steps. One thing is samatha, the concentration restraint, and once that is happened, only you can go into the vipassana restraint. So therefore this is a kind of a categorizing. And not to get engaged, not to react, not to have, not to worry about, not to regret about, just see thoughts as thoughts.
When I meditate, I don't like focusing on my breath. I like paying attention to everything. When thoughts arise, I see them and gently redirect them. Is this method correct?
But anyway, that it says in the Satipatthana method, you must have a pivotal point. You must have a benchmark. Rather than handling all the aspects, the corporeality, the physical part, the concrete part, is what the Buddha recommends as the best to start with. So therefore, if this is giving kind of a solace, it can give a concentration, it give a mindfulness continue. But when and where you lose the control, You must know where to go. You must know your at-home situation. You must know your pivotal point. You must know your benchmark. So, the simple advice is that must be your corporeal body or something tangible. Then only you can go to the other spheres.
It's a similar question. My primary object of focus is awareness of everything that my senses are experiencing in each present moment. When thoughts arise, I compassionately acknowledge them and let them go. Is this okay?
Same thing, I have to repeat it. A simple advice is to have a benchmark, have a pivotal point, have your starting point. When you are surveying, you are keeping the theodolite exactly in the same place. We call the temporary benchmark. Then only you can reinforce yesterday reading to the today reading. Otherwise, if you are keeping the theodolite in different places, whatever the measurements you take, you can't reinforce it upon. So therefore, the temporary benchmark is very important. But at the final map, TBM is not there. It is only in the blueprint. A survey to survey, it is important. But at the final map, it is not there. But to start with, you must have a pivotal point. So, if as far as this is gainful, continue. But whenever you are in a agitated situation, you have to have one reference point. That is what we call the rupa, or materiality, or corporeality.
Are there any similarities between Vedic philosophy and Buddhism?
Yeah, that is what Narendra Modi is telling. He is telling Hindu and Buddhism is the same. So I had 1 hour discussion with Bhante about what is your opinion. Because Buddhists, they do not know. They are talking about this and that. But if you believe the Buddha born in India, but no Buddhism in India now. Vedanta or the Hinduism parturated the child called Buddhist and then reabsorbed into the womb. And now no Buddhism. So there is one book in Buddhist Publication Society. They have published Brahmanism, Buddhism and Hinduism. How things are happening. Ultimately again, Brahmanism changed into Hinduism and Buddhism appears and disappears. So it is a kind of area I was interested in. I questioned Bhante. He told he has never thought about that, but he gave some ideas. He gave and he told that whatever the interpretation happened, the teaching of the Buddha cannot be complicated. It is simple. So therefore, lot of arguments and yes and no and winning and losing can happen. But the Buddha's teaching is quite natural thing. So therefore, it cannot be polluted. You cannot be compared with others. You can compare, but they will never get mixed up. Because this is the only philosophy teaching about in this very life. That's all. 5:35. Today we are only 5 minutes late.
Would you be willing to answer a question?
Yes, please.
So, for Samatha, they say you got to do Anapana. For Vipassana, they say you have to do Anapana. So if I do Anapana, I should get both Samatha and Vipassana at the same time.
Yeah, that is Anapana and Samatha is not the correct statement. Anapana is the only object catering for both Samatha and Vipassana. So with that, what is your question?
My question is, both of them suggest that to get to that Samatha state or Vipassana state, I have to do Anapana.
Yeah.
So why do Anapana? I should achieve both of them simultaneously.
But the thing is that Anapana giving the facilitating both, but you are with your personality traits. You are with your directed dispositions. And you do not know what kind of a person you are. When you are practicing and when you are giving your interview reports only, a teacher can guess. And accordingly, the instructions are changing. So therefore, best thing is to start with Anapana and listen to his own experience. Then only we can decide. That's why Anapana itself you can have. Or you can have the Anapana with the touching point. Or you can have the Anapana with the difference between in-breath and out-breath. So one teacher told, if you know only Anapana, that's a Samatha bias. If you have the touching point specific and prominent, and still you can see the in-breath and out-breath difference, that means there is a possibility you are Vipassana bias. So it's an open issue.